Hello, so this is my third video. I don't know if I'm going to say that all the way through, like this is my 55th video. Oh, there's a house alarm going off. It's really annoying where I live. Basically, everybody has a house alarm, but nobody does anything about it if their house alarm goes off. So we just have loads of house alarms going off all the time, nobody doing anything about it, and basically it's really annoying. But I'm going to carry on over the top of the house alarm. So I wanted to make this video focused on weight gain in recovery and edema, which is water, basically water retention that happens during recovery. And just because it's a massive thing, it's a hugely triggering part of recovery. It can be really scary. It can feel like it's never going to stop, and so I think it's really important to kind of talk about it and say, it's normal, it's a normal part of recovery, and kind of what happens and how to cope with it, really. So I've been in recovery for 2 years now, and I still have water retention. I think I still have weight gain as well. Like, I've got a kind of double chin here, and I have like fat and water in my arms and things. And if I just do a little thing of my body, you can see here, I carry quite a lot on my stomach and my bum and things like that. So I am still certainly dealing with the weight gain that happens, and that's kind of completely normal for this stage in recovery. Recovery can vary massively depending on what your body is going through and how the history, or how long you've been in recovery, your genes, your genetics, the rate at which you recover, like how much you eat, because the more you eat, the faster you'll heal, because the more you can make up that calorie deficit. The amount you exercise or walk, or how active you are, also plays a massive part. So if you are working a job where you're waitressing or something like that, where you're on your feet, that's obviously going to delay your recovery. Or if you're going to the gym or exercising or something like that, that's going to delay your recovery more than, say, if you took 2 years off work and you just sat on the sofa for 2 years as much as possible. For me, that wasn't possible. I don't have a very active job, which is really good. I work in an office, and I'd say that it's just been about bearable doing that, because you're sitting down, so it's fine. But with recovery comes huge tiredness. You're basically rebuilding your cells, and it takes up a hell of a lot of energy. And also the tiredness comes from the damage that you did during your eating disorder. So basically, when you're restricting, you do a hell of a lot of damage to your body, and you kind of are in this quasi state where your body can't actually start recovering until you eat the proper amounts of food and you start healing. So whilst you're in your eating disorder, you might think, great, loads of energy, kind of, you have that wired energy that you get, that people with eating disorders tend to get when they're starving, essentially. And then when you start eating proper recovery amounts of food, you start to heal, and that's when it hits you. And it's quite a shock. And I think a lot of people aren't prepared for how tired they feel, how sore they can feel. Your legs ache, your fingers can ache. You ache in your bones. You ache in places that you just weren't really aware of. And it's all because your body is healing and growing and rebuilding, essentially. And you start to feel those areas which have been malnourished and depreciated because of the starvation. You start to feel that only when you start recovery, which kind of feels a bit counterintuitive, and it is difficult, because you think, God, I'm eating, and that's bad enough, that's scary enough for somebody with an eating disorder to actually eat enough, because your ED is constantly telling you, like, you know, you shouldn't be eating this amount, you're greedy, you're fat, you're lazy, whatever. So that's really difficult to do. And then you've got weight gain potentially from edema, water basically, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then you've got all this soreness and pain that kind of happens. And so for me, it was really like, is this right? Am I doing something terrible to my body? And if I didn't have, you know, the forums that I'm a member of, and all the literature that comes together with the homeodynamic recovery method, and YouTube videos like this, you know, there's Sarah Frances Young that's amazing, she does videos, and there's Follow the Intuition as well, Eliza, I think her name is, she does brilliant videos. And it's you know, listening to and understanding that yes, that tiredness and that pain and that soreness and the weight gain is entirely natural, and not to worry really, because I mean, it's easier said than done. You are going to worry because it's horrible. I mean, the biggest thing probably is to not weigh yourself. That's a big rule in this recovery method, and I have to admit I do weigh myself still, not as much as I used to when I first started. I was like on the scale every few days, because I was just like, oh god, it's almost like watching a car crash. I just like had to watch it basically, even though it was scary and awful and painful and just, you know, horrible and triggering. I suppose felt more in control, and it's like a way to manage anxiety in a way. But the further I've got in my recovery, the less and less I weighed myself, and now I probably weigh myself once every 2 months or something. So it's definitely improved, which is good. So the edema. Edema is your body taking on water when you recover. And they sort of say it's like when you twist your ankle, it swells up. When you break your leg or something, or you hurt your eye or anything like that, you're going to get swelling. And that's because it's your body's defense and your body's way of healing an area that, you know, is damaged. It will send water there, because then it enables dead old cells that need to be moved out, to flow and to be moved out, and for new cells to generate in their place. So that's kind of the process. So while the healing is still happening, the water still serves a purpose, and then once the healing is finished, then the body gets rid of the water. So that can cause huge amounts of weight gain. You know, like I think for seasoned dieters and people that are really familiar with, oh, you lose all your water weight first, you know, that sort of thing. People know that water is, you know, something a part of weight gain and weight loss. And that's kind of why. It's because it's your body's defense mechanism for, you know, healing, your body's way of healing. So it can be quite shocking. All the literature around it sort of says, look, don't be surprised, your body can gain a hell of a lot of weight very quickly, and it is initially going to be water weight, because your body just can't gain like muscle and fat and bones and things like that in that shorter space of time. Your body takes on water very quickly, so in the first couple of weeks, or the first week or couple of days even, you can expect to see a big amount of weight, you know. I don't know how much I gained in the first couple of weeks, it's a long time ago now, but it is shocking. And I've been very open with the fact that I gained over 100 pounds during my weight gain and in my recovery, and I don't think that was all water. It hasn't been. You know, first you gain water, and then you gain fat mass. It's just the way your body gains weight. It's kind of like, you know, bodybuilders when they, in order to gain muscle, they have to gain fat, and then they'll strip down the fat, and then the muscle would just be there. But obviously they strip down the fat in a very negative way. They reduce their calories, they restrict, etc. So it's a similar principle whereby your body has to gain fat prior to the fact that it can gain fat-free mass, which is muscle and tissue and all the good stuff that ultimately is the aim of recovery. It's just unfortunate that in order to gain the tissue and the weight and everything that your body needs to gain to be healthy again,